everyone, and welcome to our powerful conversation about resistance. I'm here with Stacey and Alissa, and they're going to talk to you, and I'm going to talk to you. They're going to tell you a little bit about their experience. I want to tell you that to me, resistance is a gift. It's this beautiful thing that happens, and our patented ways of dealing with it, there's really only two camps. And they're both super fucked up, just right out the gate. Let me just say that. So the first thing we do is we let resistance run the show. We start to like freak out and get resistant to something, and then we just don't do it. And sometimes we kind of like don't do everything or a lot of stuff. The other thing is if we're not in that camp, we're over in this other one where we bulldoze past resistance. And even with the resistance and even with the fears and the red flags and the freaking out and your system and the nerves and all the stuff, you just make it happen. And we celebrate this one in society. And I think they're both equally messed up. Why would we browbeat ourselves into doing something that we're nervous about when we could unwind that a little bit? Because every time there's resistance, there's some kind of information underneath it. There is a beautiful, beautiful gift in there, and there's an opportunity for some really beautiful expansion or self-love or healing or something. So when I see resistance, or clients come to me or prospective students or anybody else, and I see that resistance come up, I'm like, great, what's in there? Let's pick this apart a little bit. Let's explore. Let's see what it would take to make your system feel safe. And I asked these women if they would come and talk to you because they both had these exact conversations with me in real life. And instead of hearing me talk about it in like sort of generic terms, you can hear their for real stories. So would you ladies be willing to talk a little bit about the resistance that you felt, what it was like, and then what we did about it? I'll let either one of you go first.
Well, I just remember it so distinctly because it was such an overhaul in my life. I was going through such a big transition. So I was looking at everything in terms of what am I going to do with myself? And now it's a time for me, kids a little bit older, divorce, just total rupture. And on the one hand, I was full bore into, okay, I'm going to do new things, and I'm going to be like a new best version of myself. On the other hand, there was a very quick, like, okay, that was enough, and go run and hide. So I remember I was signing up for lots of different things, and I would have this feeling of looking at my calendar and going, that is just never going to work. That's never going to add up. I'll never have time for this. There's not enough room. I won't have enough support. I'll get too tired. I won't have enough money, all of those things. It's just all going to suck down this drain. And I had just come from my first training as a doula. I was getting a doula certification. And I remember being at Trader Joe's in line with that like full calendar just across my brain. And I said, I can't do both. I can't do Master Your Magic and this doula thing. I'm jam-packed full, scarcity of time, money, all the things. And I just called you right there in line and said, or maybe I sent an email, I don't remember, or you called me back maybe in line at Trader Joe's. And I was just very matter of fact, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. There's this other massive thing that I'm signing up for that's going to change my life. And so can't do both. It's either or. And I don't remember the conversation maybe as much as you do, Cara, because you've had these conversations probably with a lot of people. But my big takeaway from it was you're going to do Master Your Magic to support you through the doula thing. You're going to do Master Your Magic so that you can continue to open up possibility and abundance in your schedule, in your budget, and everything else. These are the tools that are going to serve you as you move into a larger space for yourself. And I just borrowed your belief and your trust and went to do what I thought would be two very massive things at the same time. And you were 100% right. It was Master Your Magic was something that supported me so that the rest of my life didn't have to feel like so much drama and such a big deal in that way that it's so much bigger than me or my powers or my ability to step into it.
Yes, 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 yes. I love hearing this perspective. So I want to share a little bit from the other perspective too. So Alissa and I had a conversation. I don't know, a little while before this, maybe a week or two or something, where everything in her being was screaming yes to this. You know, she was saying, this is what I've got going on. And I was like, great, here's some different things that I offer. And she was like, I'm doing all of them. Sign me up for everything. I'm so clear. I mean, it was one of those conversations where we both just had full body goosebumps. And I remember, and I have a lot of those conversations, but this one stuck out as being so powerful. And you were so clear. And I think I should credit your higher self with teaching me how to hold space for resistance. Because prior to this, when people would sign up and then back out or be really gung-ho and then change their mind, I would like, and be disappointed and like kind of allow people to just melt into their own resistance. And when your message, I can't remember if it was a voicemail or an email, came through, something just rose up in me, which I know was my higher self and yours, and was like, no, not no to you, but no to the, I'm just gonna like let it be and I'll just be sad that we don't get to do this. And I felt completely unattached, whether you did or didn't, but I knew that we needed to have a conversation because I knew there was something really, really big and important inside all of that for you. And so as we talked about it and started unwinding it, it was like, oh, actually, yeah, this is just the resistance. And like you said, you could borrow some belief about it. But I clearly remember that feeling of being like, oh, yeah, it really, no skin off my nose if she wants to or doesn't. But I am not allowed to just say, sure, no problem. Your higher self was so demanding, like, no. We need to borrow. You need to borrow your beliefs. So dish it out.
Yeah, it was definitely a case of overwhelm, I think. It was overwhelm. And I just didn't see how it could all work out. And quite the opposite. It's because of Master Your Magic that I could do so much more.
Yeah. And you had a more extreme story where a lot of people, what they experience is like the niggling yes, the curiosity, the like, maybe I should book a call, but they're kind of like peeping at it from a distance. And then the resistance comes in and then they just like melt away into the resistance. And you actually had the really big, powerful yes. The resistance came later. It was no resistance at the beginning. It wasn't until later that the resistance came and then we could ride through it. Whereas most people, it's kind of the other way around. Stacey, do you want to tell us a little bit about yours, which was similar but different?
So, so this is, I'm just like watching, okay, I'm like, my brain's going crazy. But would you start the story from your perspective? And then I want to kind of jump in.
Yeah, so Stacey and I met and became great friends. And one of the things that happens to me with this work is that I'm sitting over here, like I'm sitting on this giant powder keg of like explosive joy. I got the answers and the solutions for everything everybody's got going on. And I just have to like wait for people to be ready for it. And after all these years, I'm much better at it. But when it's someone that I care so deeply about, and I'm like, okay. So mostly I keep my mouth shut and I let people do, and when they're ready to come.
You were amazing. Like there's no way on the planet that I could do what you did. I watched
you suffer for a long time.
And you were just like, you would just be, you would stand in your own, you would be grounded in your own space and hold space. Do you remember when I was like, I asked you for help? Do you remember?
I don't.
And you go, specific. Oh, I do. You go, you literally, it's like almost like you jumped out of your chair and you're like, I thought you'd never ask. You waited a long time. I mean, it was a long time.
It was hard.
Oh, and how cool is that though? I mean, that says such beautiful things about you, And I was like, okay. And so I'm going through, layers of grief and breakup and understanding addictions. And, you know, at the time I am doing like full on massive overload healing and therapy. Like I have a therapist, 12-step program. I tried hypnosis. I tried a second 12-step program, and I'm doing all this stuff. And I was doing so much work. And I found, and I was like bringing up all of these feelings and fears, and just, I mean, I'm just entrenched in emotion and reflection and pain, and it was, sometimes it was unbearable, but it was like I was doing everything that I could. And I remember signing up for Master Your Magic, and then I didn't show up. And, you know, you were like, okay, yeah, absolutely, we'll just see you next week. And I was like, okay. Monday at 6 or something, I don't remember, but it was like, or Wednesday or something like that. And I was like, the whole week I'm like, I'm going, I'm so excited. And then I like forgot. I'm like in my bed, not doing anything, and I just totally don't show up. And you know, I'm pretty self-aware enough to know, and then that's when you were like, okay, there's a resistance there. And I know for myself that like, if something is not happening, there's for a reason. Like I wanted to go, but I dug down, and it was fear. So you called me and you said, we're going to talk about this. We're going to work on this resistance. Like, what is it? Do you remember that conversation?
Oh yeah, I remember. I was walking right out here, and I remember us having the conversation, and I remember what you said, and I remember we worked through it, and by the end you were like so relieved. Yeah.
I was terrified. I'd never done any meditation before, ever. I mean, I like this kind that really is just not the kind of meditation that you teach. And it's not even meditation, it's like life-saving work, to be honest. I mean, it's just amazing what you do and teach. But I was terrified to go there because I thought there was a monster in there. And I was sure that I was going to find something scary, because I was dealing with so much pain and shame. I had so much shame in my life at the time, and sadness and all of these things, that I was sure that I was going to like look under the bed and there was a monster that was going to be there. I was sure of it. And you were so gracious, as you always are, and kind and loving, and you, I don't even remember the specific things that you said. I wish that I could. It would be really cool, but I felt very safe. Very safe. And you just asked me questions. I don't know if you can remember the conversation, because I can't.
I remember some of it.
Do you have any?
Because it's a similar thing that I want people to know. And one of the things that I told you was, it's not possible. As much work as you have done, there is no giant boogeyman. There's not. So I could say that with utter certainty, knowing you as well as I did, knowing how much work you did. I was like, let me just tell you the answer is no. I just know. So we get that out of the way. But then even more than that, that's not what Master Your Magic is about. It's not about like, you know, can we sit down and pick apart and find the like issues and the problems? And it's not at all. It's really about, can we give you the tools to do any kind of like beautiful energetic shifting and be the person that you want to be, and shift the energy of your life in your day and your everything, whatever it is. And then there's all this beautiful healing work that happens on the inside. But I was like, you're not gonna get into this. Nobody walks away from a class feeling worse than they walked in. That just doesn't happen. You come in, there might be moments in the middle where you're like, I got a little like, what? for a second, sometimes, not often, but then usually you leave with this sense of like, oh, the angels are singing, because you and your higher self, you and source, you and everything has been connected. So generally you're coming in and you're leaving feeling really good, not feeling like, oh no, I dug up all this stuff. Sometimes you might be a little tired if you did some big healing work or something,
Absolutely.
but it's celebratory.
I think the best way to describe it is that, like, I imagined this work going down and digging stuff up and finding, and the work is going up. The work is light and raising up and looking up and finding. It's not what I thought it was. It's not the right direction. I wasn't going in. I didn't know. I'd never done this before. And I found my higher self. She's so beautiful. Oh my God. She's so beautiful. And she saved me. She saved me. My higher self saved me. And the work that you, and so I'm not like ashamed of this, but the classes, it's not like it's intense in a way that like some people may be able to go full on the whole class. I got through about half of it.
Yeah, that's.
And I was like, oh God, like I cannot do this. And like I mean, it was like, seriously, it was my spirituality and my enlightenment had hit a plateau. You know what I mean? And it's a lot to find your higher self and to learn. Like, I learned the most amazing skills, how to like stand in my own space with all kinds of people in this world. And I just sit and I'm grounded and I sit in my own space and I love me and I'm centered and like I am responsible and also have the power to do all of these things. And I learned that. Yeah.
Oh, it's the best. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's really common, especially for people who are coming into it when, like you were like, Cara, are you sure I can do this? Like, I've never heard of any of this, like any of it. Like, you really wanted me to know just how beginner you were. And I was like, yeah, 100%. No problem. I got you. No problem. No problem.
The word higher self wasn't even in my vernacular before this. I don't know about you, Alissa, but like I've never even said or heard that word before. I'm from the Midwest. We don't do stuff like this. Like Colorado, people are like, woo, woo, woo and shit, but like not like we don't do this, so I had no experience with anything like this, like leveling up and energy. And now I'm just like, I feel your energy. I just walk around talking like this now. You know what I mean? I was like, did you feel her energy? Oh my God, it was so yellow.
Well, I grew up in California, so it was not unfamiliar to me by any means. I just didn't know what codependency was. I didn't know what being empathic was. And as much as I had grew up with, oh yeah, your vibes and energy and chakras and higher self and all these things all over the place. And I loved it and embraced it. Intuition, absolutely. I remember talking to Cara and she talked about all of the sensitivities and all of the power about having those kind of empathic abilities, intuitive energies, all of those things. And I remember when she talked about how her life changed when she learned how to turn it off. And so when I understood for the first time that there was an on-off switch to it, and that I didn't have to be constantly outpouring and I didn't have to be codependent and manipulated. Frankly, I felt like I was so weak and powerless because I felt that I was so easily lied to and so easily manipulated. I just felt naive. And that's a sad thing, to think that that's going to work against you in life. So it was enlightening, it was empowering, but in a way that I could still be kind and I could still be generous and I could still be in tune, but I learned discernment and I learned boundaries and grounding, as you mentioned, Stacey. So really, really helpful, I think, for people that have a lot of sensitivity. And I think that's probably why I also was so easily overwhelmed, because all of what came with having a family, all that came with divorce, everything, so much drama, right? So everything would be a big, big yes, as it very much was to Master Your Magic initially, but then something else comes in and it's, oh, now it's a no, can't do it. So how do we manage the in-between? That's the tools that I know I learned from Master Your Magic.
Right. Your system was getting so saturated, bombarded.
I love that. Thank you for mentioning codependency, because I was in the middle, in the trenches of doing really, really intense codependency work. And this was everything that I needed to move through that, because it taught me how to not attach my energy, and to create space around my energy and not let your energy in, and really, like you said, be discerning and protect myself. For the first time, I had a relationship with someone that, I didn't know how to manage the energy. Their energy was so big, and there was just so much. It's hard to explain, but the codependency part was a really, really, really big deal for me, because I would allow, I would take on too much, and I would give too much, and now it's like I get to pour it and measure it and keep it or give it. I get to do all of that as a choice today, and not like, oops, that happened. It's like I choose it.
Yeah. Oh, this is so good. So I want to talk briefly about what you were saying, Stacey, about getting partway through and then being like, Uncle, I'm done. And then I want to hear a little bit more about like being on the other side now, having gone through the resistance, gone through the program, done the stuff. Where do you find yourself on the other side of this? So let me say that the whole reason that I have the program designed that you take it once and then you get to keep repeating it again and again and again is not just because maybe there were pieces that you didn't finish, which is really common sometimes, especially if this is new to you. Like, this is not going to happen in 20 weeks. This is a lifetime worth of information. You get partway through it and then you're saturated, or you start to peter off towards the end. It's really common. So people can either catch the replays later, or they can loop back around, re-enroll next year. It's free to do it again, and then start up where they left off or come right in from the beginning. People keep doing it year after year after year because meets you wherever you are and then takes you further and further and further and further. So every year you get to see how far it goes. And I always, like, sometimes people think how overwhelming that sounds. Like, it's 5 months. That's so much. And it doesn't need to be that way. It's set up that that's how the information's doled out. We're teaching the classes that way, but you have it to take at your pace and really what works for you. And I want everybody to be doing that. So I loved when you were like, I'm tapped out. I was like, great. Are you kidding? You did so good. Like, I wasn't upset. I thought that was perfect. And I was so glad that you recognize that too. Like, hit my saturation point. I need some time to like live with and process all these big changes.
Yeah, I know, you're right. It's like anything, like a muscle or any kind of, it takes so much practice. And I had it, I mean, I don't even care. It took me forever to figure out how to ground in the center. Now I can do it in a nanosecond sometime. I can do it literally. It took me forever to just figure that out. And then I got better at it. And then I got better at it. For a part of it, it was like, that was all I did. And now I just do that to get started on my, on my meditation or my journey, wherever I want to go. And, it's practice. And I had so many questions. Like I would, and I know that you have a lot of Q&A, but I remember being like, I can't, like, she's sitting on my head. What am I supposed to do? Just random things like that. I'm like, what is happening? And you would just be like, well, just ask her, and just the simplest things. And I would do it. And they'd be like, oh, thank you. Okay, we're good. And it's some people come in this and they are so in tuned, like Alissa, like you've heard these terms and you're comfortable with it. And maybe it flows a little bit easier for you, but yeah, I'm thirsty again. Like I'm really, really thirsty for more. Like I can't wait. because there are some things that I wanted to do, but I just didn't have the capacity for. So I just had to stop.
Right. And now you've been working with these tools for a year. You have tons of capacity.
Right. Right. She's like, let's go.
Rack them up.
I think there can be a lot of resistance for people that know the terms too. I think there can be a different type of resistance that's maybe more like judgment that goes, oh, I've already done that. I already know that one. I've meditated forever. So why is this different? And I know for me, again, maybe this is a Southern California conditioning kind of thing, but when I get judgy about things, then that tends to block me. And I don't want to say that I was judgy about Master Your Magic, but I have that sense of like, is it real? Like it was a lack of belief in some time, in some circumstances, but the meditations open and all of the tools open us up to this like parallel universe. And it's not something outside of us. It's something that we find within, and there's no denying the divine downloads, the insights, the physical feelings, the visualizations, because they don't come from anywhere else but from us following very simple instructions. So to be able to drop into complete belief and understanding, just knowing that there's this complete other way of being, of living, of interacting with your inner world and outer world and recreating your own reality. So I think that was probably the biggest shift for me, was that even though I thought I maybe knew a lot of the terms, it just became integrated in my system and was something that I could actually use.
Yeah, I love that.
That's
love
really
that.
beautiful. And that makes so much sense. Yeah.
So many people wind up coming with a whole bunch of experience, and maybe even the beginning part of this feels really redundant to them, but every single time, as soon as you get past that initial judgment piece, which you've really got to do in order to be able to like sign up, you know, that initial judgment, which like you said, it really is just our resistance. The resistance shows up in like its classic categories are like, I'm too busy, I'm too broke, and I already know this. Those are like the easiest three things for resistance to pop up and be like, mm-mm. So my favorite question when any of those come up is like, okay, what am I scared of?
Mm-hmm.
What am I scared of? Like, let me sit with myself, or let me sit with the client, or whoever it is. Like, let's ask what's there. Let's talk to the resistance and see, what are you really scared of? Because resistance is only ever trying to keep you safe from something. Always. So there's no need to be mad at it. It's trying to keep you safe. It's just usually pretty misguided or misinformed. So trying to keep you safe, like, you know, Alissa, your resistance was trying to keep you safe from being totally bombarded and completely breaking down your system from too much stuff coming in. What it didn't know is that Master Your Magic would be adding to the other side of that scale. And Stacey, yours was trying to keep you safe from this like fear that you were going to uncover this horrible boogeyman. What it didn't know is that it wasn't a boogeyman, and this was actually going to help you with all the stuff you were going through, not add to it. But it was always trying to keep us safe. And when we can start to recognize that those things that are popping up, the like overwhelmed story, the busy story, and I don't disagree. Like, I am busy. That's true. And also, when that pops up, it's resistance. When those things come up, yeah, there are money concerns. Yeah, there are these things that people have. And also, what's the fear in there? What's the resistance? And what is it trying to keep you safe from? Because the healing, that story could be the biggest gift in all of this. It could be that you get through that and maybe you don't even want to do whatever the thing is, sign up for the course or do the thing, but at least you had the opportunity to get in and see what's really true in your system.
I love that you said the word safe, because safety is something I really struggled with for the last couple of years, feeling safe. And I was so scared that I was going to like dig up something and feel so vulnerable and not have the tools to like heal. Like I was going to be open. Does that make sense? And none of that happened. And I tell you this with like my most like sincere words that when I am in my meditative state, like with my higher self, I am in the safest place I've ever been in my life. I'm so safe there. And sometimes I just like don't want to leave. But it's so crazy because I don't even have to be meditating to like be right there, like with my higher self and in this safe place. And she loves me and she hugs me. And, you know, we all, most of us, I mean, I'm assuming we all have these like abandonment wounds or all this trauma from childhood or all this stuff. And that, and your higher self is just right there for you. It's amazing. There's no better feeling than being tapped into that. I am so grateful.
I think so much of the world is craving this sense of connection. You know, we try to find it on our phones and we try to find it through these different things, and then it falls flat and we have this need, this craving that's missing. And that's what we're looking for. We want to be connected to source and our higher selves and the all that isness and that unconditional love. What were you going to say, Alissa?
That's beautiful. Thank you, Stacey. It was also something about the higher self. And I think when you talk about maybe the first or second camp, whichever is the camp that says, just barrel through your resistance, which is kind of the thing that's saying, you can do it all. You can handle it. Just pack up your calendar and it'll work out. That wasn't really what happened with my overwhelm, and that wasn't the be all end all. It was, I think my higher self knew that the future was going to be something so different than I could have predicted. I was sitting in one moment looking at a calendar 3 months forward and saying it will never work out. But what ended up playing out, as I'm sure my higher self knew, was that I wasn't going to do the doula thing at all, because that's when the breast cancer diagnosis came in. So I didn't even go down that road. I mean, I think I did the training, but things went in such a different direction that I never could have anticipated. So I always refer to working with you as like the health insurance for my soul, because I needed that work, and I needed lots of work that we've done together. I needed that to prepare me for what was about to unfold, which I had no idea was on the table. So yeah, that, you know, whether it's borrowing belief or learning to trust our higher selves and stay more in the present moment. And it's just that whole world. We're afraid to lean into it because maybe it's the unknown, and we're holding on to the safety of scheduling or whatever it is. And it just can't hold a candle to what's available to us for safety, for love, for support. From our inner world that you teach us to navigate. So it's better.
And how miraculous was that timing that your higher self orchestrated you to have Master Your Magic and the sisterhood and all the different things all lined up in that nice foundation built right before that came in?
Yeah, it wasn't about getting stronger so that I could add more to my calendar. It wasn't about becoming bulletproof. It was about being held in a space of love and security, to move through adversity, yes, but to do so in a way that was more empowering and not about barreling through, like you say. So.
Do either of you have anything else that feels relevant that you want to make sure we get out there?
Something that is like downloading right now for me is trust. And, you know, I struggled with trusting myself and my gut. And I feel like I have an ally, you know, like I am so centered and grounded in myself. And I can also trust my higher self, my higher power. All of these things are working with me, that I trust myself today. And I feel like I'm not alone. It's the craziest there. I do not feel alone anymore. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yes. I was saying to someone just today that when we start to recognize, when the like blinders come off and we realize what's really true, we understand that loneliness is this made up fallacy. Like, we really can't, I mean, we could maybe kind of like generate the feeling, but we understand, we can never not understand that we are never alone. Like, never. Can't be. It doesn't work that way. We can pretend like, oh, no one's talking to me right now, but we are so infinitely supported. And I want everybody to get to know that feeling.
It just goes straight up for me. It's like, it goes higher self and then my God. And they're all just like, they're like right here. And I feel them. And this has given me, I'm spiritual. I'm not necessarily religious, but this is, I mean, it's like I've rocketed into like the fifth dimension of awesomeness.
Yes, you have.
I just feel it. It's like right there. My nose is running. I'm just so happy I didn't fall this whole time, because then it just kind of like gets me all like,
Oh man, I'm so grateful you're both willing to come here and talk so vulnerably.
Alissa, you're amazing.
Thank you. I know, we just met. This is so fun. I feel like I'm in kind of a piece of Master Your Magic or sisterhood right now. So it's so fun. Yeah.
You guys are going to get to know each other way more. You're going to fall madly in love, and it's going to be great.
My spirituality is super thirsty, like for more. Like I can't wait to learn. There's so much. There's so much. I just can't wait. And I want to perfect things and make things a little bit easier for me. It's incredible. And you just do great work. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alissa, is there anything
My
else?
back's getting ready to have third-degree burn here, so I'm gonna have to go now.
I just want to add to resist, if there's resistance around the money, the investment, because there was that for me too. It wasn't just a scarcity of time, it was a scarcity of money. And by no means do I encourage people to just, to put themselves in a bad position. But I will just say that I've seen it happen over and over again in this type of an investment, when it's something for you and for your soul and to bring you closer to your own higher knowing and your higher self. There is something about that alignment that it's like it just, the money just cannot compare, and it just doesn't ever seem to matter. I mean, it felt like a huge investment to me at the time. And as soon as we got started, it was just a blip. I mean, I don't know where it came from, where it went, but I can never, ever imagine had I let the investment piece stop me from moving into this, that would have just broken my heart. So, and I know you offer payment plans and you're so flexible and all of that kind of stuff. So I just feel like that's the last thing that I want to add, is that, not to let that fear get in the way either.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. And I've seen it happen over and over and over and over and over. I mean, can't tell you how many people are like, I don't know about the investment. Like, everybody says that. Rarely are people like, yeah, no problem, the money. Almost always people say something. And when we make the commitment, sometimes even before, but usually once we make the commitment, like, in comes the money. It's a little bit like, I think about a river, like, or the ocean or something, where you've got like a sandy or a muddy bank. If you take your hand and you like scoop out a section of sand, water's in there, right? It fills up immediately. And it's the same thing with our money, especially when we're doing things that are bringing us into such alignment. Like, we make this room for money, we make that need. Okay, here's the bill, here's the thing. And shoop, money comes in, and like, never again will people say like, oh boy, I'm having a hard time with this, like, payment. No, it's just there. It's taken care of.
Yeah, not for 1 second did I feel a financial hardship, not for 1 second. If anything, I think it was so empowering to move energy towards something that was so valuable.
Yeah.
I feel like my world has opened up to like different possibilities, learning these tools and just living in this space opened me up to different things. Like, I started like noticing numbers and kind of studying that, and like just all of I'm so much more aware of just like everything felt a little more practical and logical before this. And now everything feels so fluid and like possibilities. And what is that? I'm curious. I'm like, what is the universe telling me about that? I keep seeing hearts everywhere. What is that telling me? Like I'm open. I'm to all of these different things that the universe is trying to tell me. And before it was just so narrow. So it changes your life. It really does. I'm so excited. And the resistance was there for a reason, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful you both then made the decision to be in the awareness of your resistance and listening to it, and also finding a way to soothe the fear so that you could walk forward with ease, which is the greatest way, I think, other than those two extreme camps, to deal with resistance, is like, how can I soothe this piece of me that's afraid, make myself feel safe so that I can just freely walk forward. I love you both so much. My cup is so full.
Awesome.
Thank you.